What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 18 of the Starship Evo build U.S.S. Revengeance. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we got about a 24-minute video. We're going to be picking up right where we left off from episode 17, working on the staircase, and we're going to be not the one going up to the third level, but the lower ones. We're going to be kind of restructuring those a little bit, and then we're going to be working on the ceiling a bit here. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it because we're just going to be continuing on the railing here and bringing this almost all the way down. But it's very important to get your walkways established early on in the build. Um, because if you're trying to figure that stuff out later on, it can really mess up where some things are going to go, and you can potentially be making way more work for yourself than you would if you plot out your walkways ahead of time. That's something I've learned from building ships on Minecraft, doing several builds, and since I've adopted that over into Starship Evo, it saved me a lot of time from basically retreading the same thing over and over again. So that's kind of why right now we really haven't added a lot of detail into the room yet, aside from the walkways, because um, once we get this set, then it's going to be a lot easier to fully form out the room. And what we're doing right here, getting back into what we got going on, literally just repeating the same process that I did in episode 17, deleting all the underside blocks except for the slant, and then we're just going to do a slanted underside for it to basically make it as thin as possible and use up the least amount of space as possible also. Um, and this is only going to take a second. Once we do this, we're going to pop over to the lower stairs, which we'll be focusing a little bit of time on today, and then also we're going to be doing a lot of detailing in the floor and slash ceilings. Because one of the things I did not like is, I mean, it was a good idea to test it out, but you can see going down to the belly of the ship, I've got two staircases. And while it looks cool, I mean, it takes up a lot of room, you know? Um, and this kind of just was one of those things that you're not really going to know until you throw something down, get an idea of, how much room you have to work with. And I mean, we have like a little bit of space here, but I think bringing the two staircases a little bit further closer into the one that goes up to the third deck, and eliminating one of them is going to free up a lot more space, not only on the middle deck that we're on, but it'll also free up space in the belly of the ship. This means we'll have more room to do more stuff. Um, at this point, I'm trying to kind of get a gauge for that. I've already spoiled it for you and told you what the end result is going to be, but I haven't quite figured that out here just yet. But I'm kind of getting the idea that that's where I'm going to go with it. Because really, when I built this ship, I mean, as you can see, those of you that stuck with me through this tutorial, that just kind of took my time with it, and that's really the best thing to do. Build a little bit, see how it looks, maybe take a step back, see what works, what doesn't work, just make adjustments as you go. But definitely really important to get those walkways established ahead of time. So um, once this is done, now we'll be able to start fully forming out the rest of the room. And it's definitely one of the few things I don't like about this deck is that my stair system, as it was just taking up a heck of a lot of space. Now I'm going to add a couple of rows here to bring it back, just so we have a little bit more of a walkway from the third deck coming down into the middle deck of the lower hull. But we really don't want to bring it back that far. I really want to kind of keep the two staircases together as much as I can. But I'm pretty much set at this point that I'm going to be doing just one staircase going down in the belly. Now, I'm going to get rid of this piping because we're going to redo the railing on there. Instead of the piping, we'll just do the blocks kind of like what I did here for the railing going upstairs. I think that looks real clean. We can definitely convert that over. And you can see I've already changed my mind again. I'm going to bring it back even closer to the staircase. Really what I'm focusing on right now is this middle platform right here. Because what I'm going to pretty much do is this left side right here is where the stairs are going to be going down. Now you can see that I've taken away the symmetry tool because obviously the change that I'm making right here, we're not going to be um, doing this on both sides since it's just going to be one staircase. I'm going to have to adjust that and bring it a little bit further back because the space I just had there, I wasn't confident that we would have enough room to walk downstairs. But I'm thinking that might work. I might do one more, but that might work right there. Really, the only way to know is just to test it out and throw down ramp. You don't even necessarily have to go all the way down if you're not sure. Add a couple of rows that goes down at least below the cut directly above us to see if you can walk through it. And if you can walk through it, then you're good to go. That's basically what I'm going to do right here. So now I just realized that, nope, I didn't go back far enough. So I need to go back about that single block that we have placed here. I'm probably going to have to go back at least by one and have the cut starting here. So this way, there's just enough headroom to go downstairs. You see, that's why I did that. I didn't spend or waste all this time building out the stairs. I wasn't sure that was going to work. I'm just going to get rid of the few slants that we have, and then we're going to build this thing out. And I think that this is actually going to work a lot more. I think that the interior of the ship looks pretty clean for what it is, and aside from it not having a working turbo lift, that's something I still haven't fully figured out on the game that I really haven't honestly had the time to mess with. But I think as I go and do more of these ships, that's going to be something that I'm going to really want to incorporate into my builds because I had the turbo lifts on my ships in Minecraft. You could say I actually messed up two of those rows. We have to redo that. But yeah, no, I have two. I have working, well, as much of a working turbo lift that you can have on Minecraft, you know, with the staircase, and I build out the facade. That's something that I wanted to do on here, but I wasn't confident that it would necessarily work out because I really haven't seen anybody um, show how they do it. I've found somebody that built out a working elevator, but I'm still trying to kind of figure out how they did that. And once I figure that out, then that's going to be definitely going to be something that I'm going to be incorporating into these ships going forward. But until I do, I might stick maybe doing some smaller ships for now. I don't know. We'll see. It also depends on what everybody wants to see me build, because that's something else too. I'm still looking for what my next build is going to be. I've had a couple of suggestions here and there, but I haven't necessarily had enough people comment of the same thing that they want to see enough to, you know, kind of give me an idea that, hey, you know, this is what I should do next. So if there's something that you would like to see me do, hey, drop a comment below, let me know in the comment section. You can see what I'm doing right here. I'm kind of stretching out the staircase to make it look a little bit more like stairs, and I don't know, I don't think that's going to work because I'm pretty sure when I did this that I mean, it looks cool, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not able to walk through it. I mean, you kind of can, but yeah, I don't know. I think for that reason, just going to do the slant. But if you want to have stairs, that's how you could do it. Just have the slope going down, pull it out by one, so it's going out by two. You have a nice little lip, and it'll look like a staircase, but not as functional as I'd like it to be. So we're just going to do the ramp, and I think that'll work. We're not going to be spending that much time on the stairs. Um, we're going to get some of the railing up here to try to get the rest of this room fully formed with what we're going to be doing with it. So this way, on next week's episode, we're going to be really getting into the thick of getting a lot of this interior done. So I definitely know some of you were just waiting to get to that point. But I mean, I'm telling you, it's good to take your time with this stuff because again, you don't want to be backtracking to a point where you're repeating steps over and over again just for the sake of getting stuff done. I've definitely found that taking your time is a better route to go. So I'm kind of testing out maybe adding like a connector rail up here, but what it's actually going to be is the railing going downstairs. And I probably could have left it to where I didn't even have railing, but I don't know. Like it looks real clean. I love how that railing looks with the slope blocks, and I think it actually looks a heck of a lot better than the piping that I had before. I think it's really going to work. You can see what I'm going to do here to make it match on the same side. I just brought a square block and I moved it over to the right to get my placement exact. So that's something you can definitely do too if you're not fortunate enough to be using the symmetry tool, because like I said right here, we really can't, because the staircase what we're building is not in the center of the ship. So if I would have used the symmetry tool right here, it would essentially be adding a railing on the far left side where we don't also even have a staircase. So we'd be making just more work for ourselves. So at that point, this is kind of like the one time where you're going to see me build out both individually just to make it, look right. You kind of have like railing right there straight, so it looks like you have something that you can grab onto. That looks pretty solid. Now the one and only downside to doing this now we don't have like a ton of railing going through this level, but the staircase now is taking up a fraction of the room that it was before. So it really made it worth it to make this change. This back pipe here, I'm going to have to adjust that maybe by one. Oh, that'll work. I stand corrected. Let me get rid of the leftovers of this piping. And then back here where we had the old staircase where this opening's at, we can fill that in. And I think what I might do is use the grating. There's going to be one gap there, but that's okay. I can use a smaller block to fill that in. We'll just do 3 of them. That'll look pretty cool. See, just after that change, you'd never know that I had 2 staircases going down the very belly of the ship. And we got all this extra room now. Now up on the 3rd deck, we can do some railing. And get rid of those old tubes. And it's not going to take nearly as long to do it. Top staircase on the lower hull is in the middle, so I can just use the symmetry tool and bang this out pretty fast. Then we just have this back row to do. And we use the slants kind of to curve it out so it's not so square. And that's it. You can throw a done on pretty much the lower staircase. That looks pretty good. Very happy with how that came out. And some of this stuff I'm going to try to apply to the top staircase going up into the saucer section. We won't get into that today, but we will get into that in the future because that is one of the things I'm still not happy with on the interior is kind of cleaning up that staircase that goes up into the saucer. Because like once you walk up into that second staircase, or what I should say, third staircase. It's very plain. And at this point, I'm trying to make it look a little bit more like a starship and be functional at the same time. But I think that'll work out pretty well. All right, so now we're going to move on into the second part of today's episode. So I'm getting rid of the thicker blocks on the sides here, and that's because I'm going to go into the smaller ones. And we're going to do a couple of cool things here. We're going to grab one of these other blocks here in a moment. I'll show you in just a second. And we're going to do something kind of different with the sides. I found a block that kind of looks like struts. And I thought that would be really cool to maybe have that on the sides, um, to make it look like there were support bars, like on the wall of the outer hull. I think that would look pretty cool. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this right now, to kind of free up some space so I can do that. And I've already got enough. Well, I think we're actually going to add in a couple of more uh, hull grading here, as that looks pretty clean. I might have some going along the sides. So now we're just going to do a lip going along the sides where we had the larger block. We're just doing a smaller block. We're just going to take this going almost all the way up, if not all the way. Yep, bring that all the way to the front. So now I can come back with the grading and just fill that in. Or it could have been one of the lower hulls that I did that on. I think I might come back to that actually and do grading on the sides. Because at the same time, you don't want to go like overboard. You know what I mean? So that's definitely one of the things I'm kind of like trying to take into consideration, because we've already got a lot of hull grading, or excuse me, I should say floor grading going along in the room. Um, and looking up at it in the ceiling, like, it looks awesome. There we go. Now that's nice and even. I think we're gonna get rid of that slope, because I'm actually gonna bring that wall going all the way back, which is what I should have done to begin with. I started to do that, and I was like, oh no, I'll mess around and do the slope. But this kind of didn't work out, because I realized that I'm gonna have to close in this area up here, because this is where the warp core is gonna go, in this back room. Now, technically, the warp core is gonna be on the top level of the lower hull, but the way I build it out, um, I facade it so that not only does it look like it's going through the third deck, but also looks like it's going through the lower decks as well. So it looks like it's multi-leveled. Now this looks pretty cool. I like this here, how I had the lip going on here. I'm using the slopes to do it. Now we can start getting some of that detail into the room that I was talking about. And I'm not necessarily looking off anything right now. I'm literally just looking at the room and seeing what I can use that I currently have to work with. And I think we're going to do a little bit more of that, because that definitely brings out um, definitely a lot more character in the room. We've got a lot more to do in this specific area. Um, yeah, I kind of want to fill that in going all the way back. We have a nice little lip to go off of. We could delete that, but we might do that those struts I was talking about where that gap is right there. Yeah, these green things. So I'm grabbing both of them because I'm not sure how they're going to work, and I'm going to grab the square ones and just see kind of which one works the best. Right, that one's going to be, I think that's going to be a little bit too big maybe. Yep, it's going to be too tall. Unless I can make it snap the right way, but I don't think it's going to. Now it looks right, but I got to make it snap in the right position. Otherwise it's not. There we go. So that could work. But now I have to go and I have to get rid of that lip that I added. But that definitely looks like structural integrity support beams, which is really what I'm going for. So now that I know that I'm going to do that, I'm just going to get rid of these last two rows that I added on. Even though we're kind of backtracking a little bit, but that's okay. This was kind of something I decided a little bit late in doing this. But again, I'm just kind of going off the shape of the room, and that doesn't look bad. That looks pretty good. You can see I'm snapping off the side to make those struts come forward like that, and that looks that'll work. And we're just gonna have to go back and clean up the roof a little bit to make it all come together. And see, just by making that subtle change right there really makes that room look a lot more like a spaceship. We got a little gap right here. We'll close this in. And on the third deck here, that really that doesn't look bad. I might just end up leaving that as is and not even close it up from the top, because it gives it just a little bit more character. I think on the sides we'll do a row of blocks to kind of clean the sides up, make it look like it's a solid piece. Get a little bit more light in here. We can get rid of that right there. Yeah, we're rocking. We've already shot through 22 minutes. Got about the last 2 minutes left in today's episode. But I'm pretty happy with these changes that we made right here. This is really helping the ship come together, where now we can go in and we can start thinking about, okay, where we're going to put in consoles and things like that. I've already kind of made the decision that, you know, the warp core is going to go on the top deck of the lower hull, deck 3, and kind of be on the two lower decks as well. And then probably have like different sets of computer consoles, and I'll probably have like the ship computer or something that looks like it going through the belly of the ship. And so that doesn't look too bad right there with the grading. I'm gonna have to go under, make that snap in the right way, because I'm only trying to make it go off of one. And I think I'm gonna have to redo that because I messed up the angle in which I was doing it. There we go. Now we're looking nice and clean, except for this last two top rows here. But I think I'm just going to taper it off there maybe, but that looks kind of wrong. Let's fix that. And you can see I've got what's left, remnants of the old staircase. You can see I took away the symmetry tool because I didn't want that to happen to delete anything from the new staircase. And then we throw the symmetry tool back in, we're good. But yeah, that's going to wrap us up today. We've gotten a lot of work done. Doesn't look like it, but we really have transformed the look of this room now, especially pausing. You'd see that we have the structural struts going on the sides here. We've got our railing in going along the different levels to stop us from falling in these holes that we have here that are basically the openings for the staircase. And this is pretty much the 101s in building your interiors. And from here, now we know the layout of our ship, and it's not going to change. We could really focus on getting a lot of those details into the ship and really forming out all these rooms interior wise, which I'm excited to get into more. And we've done a little bit of that in the saucer section going along the main corridor into the bridge, but along the rest of the ship, we really haven't gotten into that. We still, like I said, we haven't done the warp core, the computer room, and then the crew quarters. So there's still some stuff left to do on the Revengeance before this ship, before we call this build done. But hey, if there's any ships that you want to see me do or any builds, be sure to drop a comment below. Definitely love to hear from you. You never know, if I get enough people asking for something, I might end up doing it. But yeah, that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out and hit that like and subscribe button. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Everybody that takes the time to watch these videos, you all are awesome. And don't forget also new subscribers. Don't forget to hit notifications on so you always get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of my new videos, you can always catch my Starship Evo builds dropping on Mondays. And my Minecraft videos typically drop Tuesdays through Fridays. But right now I'm in a brief intermission in between builds. I'm currently working on the Enterprise D, but that will be coming soon. Anyway, just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.